Hello and welcome to another episode of the Red Zone Podcast Championship Weekend Bowl Game Preview, College Football Preview Edition. I am once again joined by my incredible, amazing, outstanding, not as sickly as last week co-host Riley Davis. How are you?
I'm pretty good. I'm not sick anymore. Well, that's not true. I'm a little sick,
Not
but
as
that's
sick.
I'm not as sick. I'm just the normal amount of sick. Um, and yeah, but finals week is here for me at least. I've finished two today. I got two more on Wednesday, and then I can go home for the first time since September, I think. October. I don't know. First time in a while. So I'm excited about that. But yeah, how are you, Nate?
I'm good. Also studying. My finals week is next week. Um,
How many you got?
yeah, I'm a little just I'm okay. College football playoff rankings both went my way and didn't go my way, so we'll see. Yeah, I'm doing pretty good, pretty decent. Had some fun conversations with people in the field earlier today. Just kind of talking and learning more about the industry we cover and in the industry both of us want to work in. And yeah, but this was a fun championship Saturday. They talked about this a lot on the Texas Georgia game, but it felt like Championship Saturday didn't have the same drama as years before, where we knew what was going to happen with a lot of these teams, and kind of the only two games during Championship weekend that kind of meant anything were the Big 12 and ACC Championship games. So it kind of took away a bit of the allure of Championship Saturday, but it was still fun overall.
I feel like the after effects were more like I don't know. The after effects are more like exciting for this week at least.
I remember last year, Championship Saturday, like every single game was a must watch because the eight teams vying for two spots in the rankings meant that you kind of had to tune in to see what happened. But this year, like, we kind of already knew Georgia and Texas were both going to be in. The AAC championship game didn't mean much. Mountain West meant a bit because of UNLV's outside shot of taking that auto bid um, if they beat Boise. But then Big 12 championship game meant something. None of the other, and then the ACC championship game meant nothing. ACC championship game meant something, and no one
I
really
was about
cared
to
about
say
it.
that meant quite a bit.
And no one really cared about the Big Ten, and so it kind of made like the games were great. Big Ten
I mean, the
championship game
Big
was
Ten,
fun, but
yeah,
like,
but you also kind of just knew who was gonna win.
I mean, also
I
you
feel
knew that
like,
it didn't matter.
yeah.
Like if Penn
Well,
State
like,
wins, Oregon just gets the five seed. And so
yeah.
and by the way, as my dad mentioned, all the way back in week four, the five seed's probably the best seed you can get, given that you get to go through the four seed and the 12 seed in the first two rounds. So, you know, who would have, it's actually hot take, probably would have been a better get for Oregon, given the two teams they might end up having to play in quarterfinals. But that is jumping ahead. First, let's get to the news. Earlier, and by earlier I mean literally like 30 minutes ago, the top four for the Heisman Trophy have the top four Heisman Trophy finalists have been revealed. It is with basically no surprise Dylan Gabriel, Cam Ward, Travis Hunter, and Ashton Genty. You know the opinions of the Red Zone podcast.
Ashton
It
Genty.
should be Ashton Genty.
It's probably gonna be Travis
It's gonna
Hunter.
be Travis Hunter.
But
It's
I mean, Ashton Genty is like like dude's
He's a
freaking
freak.
crazy. He's insane. 344 carries is like fucking wild.
He's well, okay. So Genty is 126 yards away from breaking the all-time season record for rushing yards, something no one ever thought would happen. And to the people who want to diminish that by saying that Genty played inferior competition or had more games than Barry Sanders, fun fact: after the Mountain West Championship game, Barry Sanders and Ashton Genty have the same amount of carries. So Genty's only going to have as many carries as he gets continuing on if they win their game, if they win the Fiesta Bowl, and if they keep winning. He's only going to have that many amount of carries left. I'm rooting for him to beat the record because I think that'd be really cool.
I think it would
But
be
it's going to
cool,
end up
but it
being
would
Ashton
kind of
Genty.
suck if you like break the record and you're not in the Heisman winner. It's like, well, that just proved the point that you should be. But
Well,
whatever.
actually, that if he doesn't win the Heisman, he needs to. I think
would
I think
make
that'd
it
be really
better. It'd
cool
be
if they
like
did
a in
that.
your face moment.
Hmm.
That's fair. Yeah.
Um,
So it's like if you don't win the Heisman, break the record.
this should have been the first time they ever just invited two people. Because let's be real, no one really thinks Cam Ward or Dylan Gabriel is going to win this. They're two incredible players, two of the best quarterbacks in the country this year.
Yeah, but it's really between Travis Hunter
Probably
and
one
Ashton
and
Genty.
two in the country this year. But let's be real, it's
It's
Travis Hunter and
between
Ashton Genty.
yeah, and probably
Um,
Travis Hunter.
Probably gonna end up being Travis Hunter. In other news, big news if you're a Georgia fan, Carson Beck has sustained an elbow injury, as seen on the last play of the second half, the last play of the first half of the SEC championship game. There's no timetable set for his return, but crucially, what I saw today on X as I was scrolling trying to find news is that it might be believed that he's out for the Sugar Bowl. No one
Which would
really knows,
suck.
but this is the first kind of take in mind in 2018 when Alabama beat Georgia and Tua got injured and Jalen had to came in. Tua ended up playing in that game despite people thinking that he might not. So there's no way to tell with Beck until the official injury report comes out. Georgia's most likely going to hold their cards pretty close to their stomach unless Beck's like out for the year. Um, and so we probably won't know this until a few days before the quarterfinal game. Good thing for them is they are in the quarterfinals. They're not going to have to play until like the first. So Beck's going to get about 3.5 weeks to recover this. Um,
Yeah,
and I mean, honestly, if they have to go with Gunnar Stockton,
he
like
didn't look bad at all.
he did not look bad.
He looked
Outside of the,
competent.
he
He had a
had
pretty
one
nice
bad
like
moment.
offensive run. But like
One
he
bad
led some
moment.
pretty like solid offensive runs, so like that
Yeah.
worked well for them. They won the football game, so
I think
he
the
looked
only thing
competent.
you can slate him for was that interception, which was
Yeah,
bad, but
hasn't
only
played all
made one
season.
mistake.
So,
Got that first down in overtime that led to the game winner. Um,
yeah.
I don't think he's honestly Beck's not been the reason Georgia's been winning football games this year. It's been
This
a
is true.
it's been a strong run game and a great defense.
But you know,
So
it's hard going into the playoffs without your best country.
right.
So, feel for you.
So I mean, obviously, it's easy to say that and try and diminish what how bad of a loss, but that would be pretty bad for Georgia losing Beck. But honestly, I still think they can beat Indiana or Notre Dame if they without Beck. I think issues will probably start to come when they play better opponents. Which who knows if they will, because they got real lucky with their draw in the playoffs.
Yeah, they did.
On a really nice little side of the bracket. But we'll get there when we talk about the rankings. In transfer portal news, Tyler Van Dyke is entering the transfer portal. Wisconsin quarterback who got injured in that third game of the season against Alabama, hasn't played the whole year. And Georgia Tech's wide receiver Nick Singleton, probably the best wide receiver on that team, also entering the transfer portal after a good season with Georgia Tech. And Alabama Crimson Tide. So Alabama's athletic director, Greg Byrne, came out being very snippy after Alabama was snubbed from the playoffs, talking about how he should just start scheduling cupcake opponents because it doesn't matter, which I think is slightly a bad faith take, but you know, we'll talk about it when we get to the playoffs and kind
Okay,
of
I was about
like
to say, do you want to share your thoughts, Nate?
no, not yet.
Okay.
For just kind of, I think it's a bad faith take. It's not completely in too
No, not on
incorrect,
the
but
take, just on like Bama.
no, I know. I'll do that. But
Okay.
on specifically talking about Greg Burns' take there, it's a little bit in bad faith, but also I get where he's coming from. Um, and in some fun news, Kirk Herbstreit's son has committed to Michigan to play quarterback, which is funny because Kirk Herbstreit's an Ohio State fan.
Sucks.
Also, Bill Belichick might coach the North Carolina Tar Heels. Will it happen? Probably not. But if it does, it'd be really funny to see Bill Belichick try and navigate NIL. Anyway, so we have a different format for this week, like we did last year when with Championship Saturday. We're just going to go over the games and then we're going to go into the rankings because the games influence the rankings pretty heavily. Um, First, starting us off on Friday, we had the battle. Well, actually, we'll go at least important to important. Army pretty handily defeats Tulane 35-14 in the American Athletic Championship game.
Good
Um,
job.
I, I didn't watch much. This is a great season for Army, finishing 11-1. Their only loss to Notre Dame.
Next week we
Um,
have the patriotic matchup.
Very excited for Army Navy as always. Jerseys will be incredible for that game. But good on Army. It's a rough end of the season for Tulane. Kind of getting systematically blown out in their last two games to
I
Memphis
mean,
and
but they had a
Army.
solid season.
Yeah, I mean Tulane is emerging as one of those group of five teams that's just going to kind of come out the woodworks, win 8 to 9 games a year, cause issues for the big teams they play. Um, and I think that's a good spot for that program. That's
It's a
a
good
pretty good
reputation
turnaround.
to have.
Speaking of the team that is the better version of that reputation, Boise wins the Mountain West 21-7 off the back of an incredible game from Ashton Genty, 32 carries for
Freaking
209
crazy.
yards and a touchdown as Boise claims the Mountain West and claims their spot in the playoffs.
Okay, genuine question. I don't know if
Give
we've
me my answer.
discussed it on here. Um, what are your opinions on Boise's field?
Oh, I love it. I love the Smurf
You
Turf.
love it?
It's my favorite field in college football.
We've talked about this, haven't we?
I don't know if we have, but I've talked about this a lot with my parents.
Yeah, I genuinely don't know my take. At like certain points, like I forget that they have the freaking blue ass field, and then I'll like see a highlight, and I'm like, oh my God.
Well, it's funny because
Um,
it's called the Smurf Turf.
I know, but it's a lot. It's kind of a
It's
lot.
very Smurfy.
It's
Um,
yeah. If you haven't seen it and you look it up, it's like it's kind of
Yeah,
I don't
such
know.
a
It's a little
Boise
jarring.
State field.
It's a little jarring.
It's not jarring.
It's so blue.
It's incredible. The blue adds to the
It
overall
looks.
vibe.
I mean, I know it's turf, but it looks. I mm, I don't know. That's okay. That's what it is. It reminds me of like an indoor soccer field
Yeah,
because
I
like
could see
indoor
that.
soccer fields are like they
Usually,
like the turf is like whatever color, and that's what it reminds me of. It looks fake,
I agree.
even though it is fake, but it looks very fake.
Yes,
That's what it is.
I agree. Um, I think back on the Mountain West Championship.
Mhm.
Let's give our flowers to UNLV. They've had a roller coaster of a year with the whole Matthew Sluka thing at the beginning of the season, to having to go to a backup quarterback,
Forgot about that.
to having to play Kansas, Boise twice. A 10-3 season is nothing to scoff at. This was a great year for the Rebels. Hopefully, they can parlay this into being good eventually. But good for them as they think they're pretty sure they're going to the Pac-12. Um, and so good
Are
for
they,
them.
are they one of the teams?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure they are. Next,
One of the many.
championship Saturday. First, let's start with the two games that meant the least to, which is the Big Ten and SEC championship games, as we already knew that all four of these teams would be going to the dance no matter what happened. Big Ten championship game was a hell of a lot of fun. 45-37. Oregon takes it over Penn State. James Franklin falls to like 2 and like 20 something against top five opponents. But this was not a bad performance from Penn State, all things considered. Really questionable call from Franklin to go for two. When down 38-24, they scored a touchdown and they went for two, and of course they didn't get it. Um, but this was a fun game. It was a shootout track meet. Oregon once again just keeps proving why, in my opinion, they're the number one team. They are the clear cut favorites for the national championship right now. And Penn State showed that, hey, maybe they can compete with the big teams. I mean, they're pretty good, Penn State, but we'll see what happens. Once again, both of these teams are making the playoffs no matter what happened in this game, so it doesn't really mean much. And in the SEC championship game, Georgia beats Texas 22-19 in
I
overtime.
thought they had it, bro. I thought Texas was gonna pull like
This
a
game,
like a. I understand it now, but they
this game
didn't, bro.
sucked. Not even
Ugh.
because Georgia won and I'm salty. This was a boring football game for 3/4 of its runtime.
Please, because I was tuned in. I was like, this is nothing's happening. I
I
mean,
was
like
so
stuff was
excited for
happening,
this
but it was
game,
just like,
but the fourth
ugh.
quarter was when it got good. Big talking point out of this game is going to be Texas's inability to beat good teams not named Texas A&M. And by that, I mean they've lost to Georgia twice this year and still haven't beaten a ranked team. This puts them in the category with Indiana and SMU as the only playoff teams at the moment to not beat a ranked team. Um, if I'm Texas, I'm worried. We've been
Against
kind of we've
Clemson.
been, I mean, against a ranked team with a good quarterback.
Cade Club, Nick.
Put your let's focus back on Georgia Tech. We can preview that game later, but I think the big thing why I'm a little scared for Texas is they should have won this game by a lot.
Well, especially
You
if
look at
Georgia's without Carson Beck for the whole second half.
if you looked at
Like,
how Georgia played in this first half, they had 40, something like 55 yards at halftime. Georgia was unable to do anything, unable to move the ball. The Texas defensive line was doing all they could do, like, and Texas had 247 yards and 6 points to show for it. Texas lost this game, and maybe you can say that I'm just being salty and not giving Georgia credit. Georgia played good in the second half, but the issue is that they shouldn't have had the chance to get back into this game. Like Texas should have foot on throat, but it was just so many miscues, missed moments. Burt Auburn missing 2 field goals he should have made. It's just it's a cycle for Texas. There's just mistakes in games against big teams. Um,
that might choke first round, which would suck.
I could 100% see them choking first round. I mean, good on Gunnar Stockton. We said it earlier. He ends up finishing 12 for 16 for 71 yards and an interception. Is
Yeah,
that
he
an
looks
incredible
solid.
stat line? No, not at all. But he did what he had to do, got Georgia down the field. Georgia was able to just consistently move the ball. They ended up going on like a 9-minute drive at the end of the fourth quarter to get a field goal chance. And I think overall it's good. I mean, I think Georgia I will stick by my guns. This is a bipolar football team that has not pieced a full four-quarter performance this entire year against a good team,
Fair.
and it will come back to bite them in the ass, whether or not it's Indiana or whether or not it's Notre Dame in New Orleans in the Sugar Bowl. It will bite them in the ass eventually. I keep saying it. Maybe it will never bite them in the ass. Maybe I don't know what I'm talking about. But I can't understand how Georgia keeps playing this badly in games and getting away with it.
I think
It's
it
like the
will bite them in
Chiefs
the
in the
ass,
NFL.
but oh my God.
You know
How
how
many
devil
times are we going to
magic that
compare the
football team
freaking
has
UGA
used?
to the Chiefs?
They are 12-1 and have legitimately won like 8 of those games. Like there's
Well,
four or
the
five of those they
Chiefs
should
are
have
like
lost.
have legitimately like sketchy like calls and shit. Like
Yeah,
they're a whole other thing. They're a whole other like species from this. But yeah, I
I
mean,
mean, good on
I said it
Georgia.
before back when Carson Beck was still throwing like 5 interceptions. I mean, okay, sorry, that was a little mean. Like three
4 interceptions
interceptions,
a game.
3 to 4 interceptions a game, and I was like giving him shit and being like, um, well, like you can't call him the number one quarterback in the nation. You're literally just treating him like you treat Patrick Mahomes. You're treating UGA like you treat the Chiefs, or like this is like an incredible football team when they make so many mistakes when actually they're not, when they keep just like skating by about stuff. But honestly, I don't know. Maybe their ability to skate by is, I don't know. Maybe it's
I
it's
mean, they're
it's
a
working
gritty
for
football
them
team.
so far.
No one
I
can
mean,
say that they're
it's
not gritty. They have a great They have a better defense than I gave them credit for last week. I thought Texas would give them fits. And to be fair, they did for the first half, but
they're
Georgia
kind of like waking up a little bit,
every
but
single game it takes them until the second half to actually get going,
they
and
just
that's
gotta get up. They gotta warm up.
I don't like that. I don't like
They're
that
warming
analogy.
up.
No, I don't like that
Warming up?
analogy. No, I don't like when you said they had to get up. I don't like that analogy.
Like wake up. You get your mind out of the gutter, Nate.
What do you want me to say? You made a joke that could be interpreted as a certain way. We won't say that because, family friendly. But
We left that rating a while ago.
do you want me to say what I thought you meant? I thought you're making an
No.
erectile dysfunction joke.
Oh my God. No, they just need to wake up.
Georgia struggles to get up in the first half, but at the end of the
Jesus.
game, they're up. What do you think that sounds like?
I said they needed to get up and
Why don't
warm
you
up.
flip your hat around, Riley? Show the dear viewers who are watching this on YouTube what your hat looks like. For audio
I have
listeners,
hat
it's
head, which is
Cox.
why I have the hat on. Because my hair's too long.
Oh, my hair's too long too. Look at this.
Bro, look at this. I can have a full ponytail.
I had a ponytail at
Wait, you
one
can't
point
see it.
this
That's
weekend.
just dark. Look at
Anyway,
this crap. Anyways,
um, Georgia will probably be fine because Black Magic, and they'll probably end up winning the national championship because God has forsaken us.
I
So,
don't think so. I'm calling it now. Sorry, that was aggressive.
yeah, no, call your shot. I would be okay
Um,
if you called your shot.
I'm sorry to my friends who go to UGA and
Are
do very
you?
much. Yes, I am. Like this is gonna hurt your feelings, but
It's gonna hurt their
I don't
feelings.
think you're gonna win the national championship.
I don't think they are either.
Genuinely, I think I think it is gonna bite them in the ass that they don't get going until later into the game. Just because like eventually, like in theory, as the playoffs go on, the teams get better and better, and the matchups get harder and harder. So in theory, you're gonna meet a team who's not Texas and you couldn't beat you for the second time they played you in the season, but who's a team that's going to be able to just like blow through that and actually just go past them too far that the point that they can't make it back
I
from
think the thing
like
with
not
Georgia is you
starting.
need to take advantage when they don't play well. Like you need to
Yeah.
get up by
And as the teams get
at
better and
least
better in the
three
playoffs,
scores.
they're they're going to meet a team who can do that
Yep.
easily. So
And
I think they're not making it.
I don't think they are either.
Whether they
Well,
make it like all the way to the national championship and then
watch
lose,
them win it.
or oh my god, please. That wouldn't be the first take that's ended horribly on this show.
Speaking of takes that have ended horribly and games that went horribly for both of us, Clemson wins the ACC championship game on a 56-yard walk-off field goal, punching their ticket to the college football playoffs, beating SMU 34 to 31. Fuck me, SMU. You had one job. You had one goddamn job. It was to beat Clemson. Bama would get in. Clemson wasn't going to get in. We didn't have to deal with Dabo Sweeney. But no. You just had to roll over against a top 25 team like you've done the whole year and act like the horses you are and get shot in the goddamn head. I am so sick and tired of SMU. I cannot believe that they lost this game. I cannot believe they got their ass kicked for a majority of this game. Bear came back at the end, looked like they were going to win, played the softest of soft zone D I've ever seen, let Clemson easily waltz their way into field goal range before hitting a 56-yarder to win the game. This was frustrating. And now, both of our teams are
I
out. I mean, we knew South Carolina was going to be out anyway, but Bama's
yeah.
out, and it's because of this. It's because of stupid Clemson.
Um okay.
How does it? Oh, I have a question for you. I
Yeah.
don't mean this in any. Don't take offense to this. How does it make you feel knowing that you guys beat Clemson and now they're
That we
playing for
beat
the
the ACC champion and they're in the playoffs.
well that
A
you
little
beat the
salty.
team that's now playing in the playoffs and you guys aren't?
Yeah, a little bit, a little salty.
Okay, but you
just
can't
a
make the
little bit.
argument about them being the ACC championship game and that vaulting you guys up spots. You're never going to go over SMU.
Huh? Oh, I know. Oh, I'm aware. But I'm just like now it makes our win look a little better because they are the ACC champion. And so that kind of sucks.
But also now Clemson's in the
Um,
playoffs.
yeah. I have a friend who actually I was like said something sacrilegious, okay? This is a friend here. Um, and he was like, I'm Clemson's biggest fan this weekend because of
Man,
how badly.
your guys' little brother syndrome needs to be studied. All that because you didn't want Bama to get in the playoffs.
Hey, this isn't my take. This is my friend's.
Yeah, man.
But
I'm
yes,
looping
that's
your friend
exactly
into
what he
being
said.
every single South Carolina fan.
Um,
You guys got such a case of little brother syndrome, man. We
I
beat
think we
every.
deserve to be salty.
No, you don't. You are a
Why
nine
don't
and three
we?
football
Why
team that
don't
lost.
we?
Because you're a 9-3 football team that lost to the two teams ahead of you. You don't get to jump them. That's not how it
You're a 9-3
works.
football team who lost to ass Oklahoma and
And beat
Vanderbilt.
the SEC champions, and is 3-1 against top 25 teams. We beat
Okay,
Missouri. We beat Georgia.
so did we.
Ooh, you didn't
We
beat
don't play
Georgia. You
Georgia.
shit the bed against Alabama. You shit the bed against, and you shit the bed against
Actually,
Ole
we
Miss.
beat you. Oh my god. Okay, Alabama. What just happened to my freaking headphones? Hello. One of my ears went out. Anyways, we lost by 2 points against Alabama because we made shitty mistakes. But y'all played like ass against us, and we were actually
And
playing well, and we
one.
made by our. Okay, I'm sorry. I know. Okay, here's the only thing. Here's what, not the only thing. The thing that pisses me off about the Bama game is that like, yo, you guys are like, oh, we won the game. The difference is like we lost it. Like we made shitty mistakes and yeah, we lost it for ourselves. However, like Alabama was so close to losing the game. That's what I'm like. That almost happened for y'all. I
But
don't like.
you can't in good conscience say that a team that lost to Ole Miss and Alabama and you had the same record say that you should jump the two teams you beat. That's not how it's worked in college
I
football
know, but
like in
initially.
ever.
This is initially when you guys were already like well in there,
Well,
well in there
We had just lost to Vanderbilt. So, I mean,
when the
Alabama
college
had.
football playoffs came out.
Oh no, I thought you were talking about the South Carolina game.
No, the playoff rankings.
Well, see, this is the issue I take with South Carolina fans. I don't know how it ended up becoming that South Carolina fans are the enemy, but the fact that the amount they've been cheering on Bama's downfall is actually starting to annoy me. You can't
Okay,
you can't
you know
argue
it's not
about the
just
fact that
us,
you're.
right? Though.
No, I know it's everyone, but the
Okay,
most vocal
it's
I've heard.
everybody.
Okay, this is the issue. South Carolina fans can't say they deserve to make the playoff because they don't deserve to. They lost to the teams they played. They lost to Ole Miss and they lost to Alabama. And whatever, the LSU game is the LSU game. We can talk that into the ground that South Carolina would have been one flag away from making the college football playoffs. Because fun fact, if that flag doesn't happen and South Carolina wins that game, an 11 and 2 yeah, a 10 and 2 South Carolina probably makes it over an 11-2 SMU. But the issue is they got their asses kicked by Ole Miss and they choked a game against Alabama. And when you have those three losses, you can't think that you deserve to make the playoffs because the teams they lost to, it's different for Ole Miss and it's different for Alabama because
Why?
the teams ahead of them are not the ones that they've lost to. And Bama has a better Bama you have very conveniently forgot to mention Bama's strength of schedule is only like 2 spots behind South Carolina. This whole year, your talking point has been, oh, look how hard our schedule's been. Alabama's schedule is only 2 spots behind us. We almost have the exact same strength of record, and we have a better record against top 25 teams than you guys do.
Okay, but what have we also talked about at this season is like, first of all, we talked about the turning point was the Alabama game of the season. I'm not saying that like the team that lost to Alabama, the team that got our asses kicked by Ole Miss deserves to make the playoffs because that team looks shitty. You don't deserve to win if you have 4 turnovers against Alabama. That's literally what I said the week that we played y'all. But the every single game after that, that's the games that like get you there. And so like I understand why we didn't make it. I understand because you have the same record as the teams who are ahead of you and like they're you can't jump them. I get it. I understand why we don't make it. Am I a little like annoyed that that's why? Yeah, I am. I that I understand it. But it's just every game since that game has been like freaking we've been you said
But
it
it's
yourself. You underestimated us. You said that like the past 2 freaking games about us. You said we underestimated
because
us
I did.
because we are better than we were at the beginning of the season.
The
Yeah,
issue
we had 3 bad losses that like screwed us in the ass this year, but then never again had a game anywhere near to that caliber, anything like that. So that's why it's a little annoying. It's because it's only annoying because like since those games, everything like it's a whole flip and everything has been undefeated since. We've won out everything. We've beat the ranked teams we've played since. We beat teams that beat the teams who beat us. That's that's what makes it annoying is when all of that happens and then all the upsets that like, oh, if this and happens, then South Carolina might have a chance. It's just when all of that happens that it stings. It's just when all of that happens that you're like, when you get given a little bit and then it doesn't actually happen and you're like, well shit, like why'd you make me do that?
Well, yeah,
It's that.
you're talking to the guy who was a fan of the first team out of the playoffs and the team that probably is a better team than SMU. But the issue with South Carolina and one of the things I have to disagree with on the points you made is that it's not the college football playoff based on the last 6 weeks of the year. It's the college football playoff based on the whole year as a whole. And South Carolina, for the first 6 weeks, was not a good football team. They struggled against Old Dominion. They won their 2 games against no one opponents, and then lost to LSU, Ole Miss, and Alabama in games where they didn't play very well. So you can't look at South Carolina as a whole year basis and say that they deserve to make the playoffs because they played badly the first 6 games of the year. That does the last 6 games of the year warrant South Carolina making the playoffs? Yes, but it's not based off of that. It's based off of your index as a whole, which is why teams like Ole Miss get left out because of bad losses throughout the year. Bama gets left out because of bad losses throughout the year. South Carolina gets left out because of bad losses throughout the year. Miami, I guess, gets left out because of their awful end of the year. But it's an index of the whole year. That's how they do it. And South Carolina just didn't play well for the first part of this year. First 6 weeks were not very kind to them, and you know that's going to end up being what knocks them out. But at the end of the day, this isn't the discussion. The discussion's Clemson making the playoffs, backdooring their way in after a good win against SMU, which I don't care about because screw both of these teams. Um, anyway, Big 12 championship game can actually only be described as a splattering. Arizona State beat Iowa State 45-19 behind a generational performance from Cans Skitebo. 16 carries, 170 yards, 2 touchdowns, and I'm pretty sure he had like 30 something yards receiving. Um, hey man, Arizona State's legit. If you didn't think so before, this should be your entry into Arizona State football. They're a legit football team. Um, it's a damn shame they have to go play in Atlanta. That doesn't make a lot of sense in the quarterfinals. But actually, I honestly think they probably should have gotten seeded ahead of Boise. But I mean, what do you think? Do you think they
They're
should have
the
been
four
seeded?
seed, are they not?
But Boise's the 3, and everyone talked
Oh.
about the fact they probably should have been seeded ahead of Boise.
Um, hold on. Boise
Opinion?
was looking. No, I think. I mean, like record wise, Boise has a better record. I mean, but like at this point, I think like the seating. I mean, yes, seating matters, but like I don't know, brackets set. They prove themselves after this week. I mean, after they play again. So I mean, like at this point, they just have to prove themselves. So I mean, they already did. I mean, they're freaking 4 seed after being what were they like a 14th? No,
Um,
15th.
they're projected
So
last. They're projected to finish like last in the Big 12 this year.
yeah. So I mean, obviously they've proved themselves a lot, but I mean, like I don't know. Boise didn't have to prove themselves as much. I don't think. So
Well, good game. Cam Skitebo is probably the second best running back in the country. And this leads us into the playoff rankings, which garnered a bit of controversy. Um, you know, as always, I feel like if there wasn't controversy, then we wouldn't be doing our jobs correctly. Cough, cough, college football playoff. But, you know, we'll talk about the 3 games where we kind of knew what was going to happen, and then we'll talk about SMU getting in over Alabama. In the 12-5 game, it'll be Clemson playing at Texas. 9-8 winner of that plays Arizona State in the Peach Bowl in Atlanta. Tennessee plays at Ohio State. Winner of that playing Oregon in the Rose Bowl, which is a tasty, tasty little matchup. Um, and your Indiana Hoosiers will travel to play at Notre Dame. Winner playing Georgia in the Sugar Bowl. I'll just first of all talk about Indiana. Super happy with this draw. Probably the best we could have gotten out of the teams outside of maybe playing at Penn State. But I think this is our best chance to win. Um, are we going to? I don't know. But it's going to be really cool. It's an in-state rivalry. Get to travel only about 4 hours, 3 hours up north to go play at South Bend. It'll be a great game of football. I mean,
are
I
you
honestly
going?
think no, no,
Okay.
no, no,
It's
no.
like you're
I
not gonna be
wish.
home.
I might go to the Sugar Bowl if we end up winning. But great on them. Good job, Hoosiers. Probably the best draw we could have gotten. Um, and winner of that game will play, as I said, Georgia in the Sugar Bowl. The contentious point. Penn State is the 6th seed. Everyone understood. But SMU gets in as the 11 over Alabama. Here's my thoughts. I'm 70-30 mad at Alabama in the committee. So I'm more mad at Bama than I am mad at the committee. Here's why. Don't lose your fucking games to Vanderbilt and Oklahoma. It's that simple. We control our own destiny if we lose only one of those 2 games. And the Vanderbilt loss probably doesn't even look that bad. If our losses of the year end up just being Vanderbilt and Tennessee, that's not too bad. Vanderbilt, are they a great team? No, but they've given good teams fits this whole year. So that would have made a little bit more sense. Oklahoma loss is inexcusable. They've been dog shit this whole year. And that's the reason why Bama was held out. I understand. SMU shouldn't have been punished for making their championship game. Do I think Alabama's a better team than SMU? 100%. Yes, I do. I think we would have a much better chance than SMU to go into state college. And now the little petty part of my brain is hoping that SMU gets splattered by 60 in state college to prove a point. So I am now rooting for Penn State because I want SMU to get their ass kicked. Is it petty? Yeah. Is it unfair? Probably. But, I'm a little upset Bama didn't get in. But, we can't be mad at the committee that much because I think the Alabama fans that are like only mad at the committee are stupid. If they're not doing enough self reflection to realize that we lost to Vanderbilt and Oklahoma, then they're stupid. It's a rough one. It's a tough pill to swallow. It's the first time Bama's really ever been in this situation. Every time that every time they've had a chance to make the playoffs, they have. Like anytime it's been them or another team, it's been them. It's the first time that it's been us or another team, and the other team's been picked. So kind of sucks. SMU's 0-2 against top 25 teams, while we are 3-1. We have a much better strength of schedule and strength of record than SMU does, but it's the losses. It's the loss against Vanderbilt, the loss against Oklahoma. And it's frustrating, but we go again in next year, I guess. It's frustrating, and now SMU will play at Penn State. What do you think of this bracket? Anything that stands out to you
Um,
initially?
well, I mean, I don't know. It just when in every conversation that I had about like who was gonna end up getting spots in reference to Alabama, it was always like just like it was automatic that like if Clemson won, Alabama was not gonna make it just because SMU was gonna get in the playoffs. So which is why like I was kind of like not annoyed, but like a little shocked that they were like still like up in the air, like who's it gonna be? Who's it gonna be? Because I was like, I thought that this was already set that like SMU was still gonna be in, and that if Clemson won, Alabama was basically first out, or I guess second out because um
Mm-hmm.
no, because Clemson. Anyway, Alabama
We're the
was
first
first
team out.
out.
Miami is the second team out.
Yeah, Miami. First out. But yeah. So I don't know. That's why I was like when they were like trying to level SMU Alabama, I was kind of like, I thought this was already decided, but whatever. As someone who doesn't have a dog in this fight, I don't know. I'm just gonna watch and see what happens. Um,
I
I don't
mean,
know. I'm excited to see what's going on with I mean, like the most exciting progression that's gonna or one whoa. Um, First round that's gonna be more exciting to watch, I think, overall is just gonna be Tennessee, Ohio State, and then like whoever plays Oregon, because that's just gonna be exciting. Um, I meant to ask how confident you are with Indiana taking off like the hat that you had when you were just like straight up, we're gonna win the Natty.
I'm 40% confident. I definitely think this is a game we can win. Like,
Hmm.
I think it's winnable. I think Notre Dame has flaws. They lost NIU earlier in the year, but this is not the same Notre Dame team that was in that game. They've been playing very complete as of recently. But also their two big wins have came against the service academies. Um, and no one really knows. I mean, obviously the service academies are good, but Navy's fallen off a cliff, and Army, no one really knows how good they are because they seem really good against the group of five teams and then kind of get blown out when they play the Power Fours. They struggled against USC in the final week, so I do legitimately think this is a game we can win. I think it'll just come down to talent against talent, which Notre Dame has more talent, but I think we're better coached. Um, the offensive line needs to be better. That's been the real issue for us the last few weeks. Is the offensive line is getting bullied. Bad against Ohio State, not great against Purdue, but kind of bailed out by the fact Purdue sucks. Um, so need to reduce the amount of time Rourke gets sacked. Rourke is the key to us winning this game, I would say. He was really bad in the Ohio State game. A lot of it wasn't really his fault, but I think it's tough. I mean, it's tough. Like it's a tough game. We're an 8 point underdog. But hey, man, no one thought we were going to be here in the first place, so why not overstay our welcome and stay
Sure.
longer than people want us to in the first place? So
Um, this is nothing against you. Sorry. Plus I'm not saying this out of um like support because I hate Georgia, but I think if you'll make it to the quarterfinals, you're not winning. Sorry.
No, I don't think we would either. But
Yeah.
I mean, Carson Beck
But
being
I
out
also
gives me a better
That's
chance of we end up
true.
making
Well, I
it.
mean, we don't know if he's technically out for the Sugar Bowl yet, but yeah.
Rumors
Um,
are he's out for the Sugar Bowl.
yeah. And if he is, that makes it look better for y'all. But also, if you do end up going against UGA and then you lose, just know that certain people that we know will never let you hear the end of it. And I am
Well, I mean,
sorry for
also
that.
I think the thinking with me is if we beat Notre Dame, why can't we beat Georgia? Like if we beat a top five team in Notre Dame, why can't we beat another top five team in Georgia?
Because they're not the same. They're not the same.
I mean, is this not the same Georgia team we just spent 10 minutes talking about how bipolar they are and how they've been playing really poorly the whole year in first halves of games?
Yeah, but they
I'm not
also
saying
like,
Indiana wins, but I'm saying it's
okay.
not as much of a splattering as you are making it out to be.
No, but I would also very much argue that Georgia's opponents are more challenging than probably Indiana's opponents. I mean, they played Texas. I mean, they
Well, I mean,
beat
yeah,
Texas,
it's not our fault.
Alabama. I mean, that's not your fault. They play in the freaking SEC, but like they play Texas, they play Tennessee, they play Ole Miss, they play Alabama. Like those are some big
Yeah, but I mean, they
opponents.
also played bad against Georgia Tech in Florida.
That's true. But then they weaseled out of them all. So, I mean, I don't know.
My thinking, I don't think Indiana beats Georgia, but I think it's a closer game than people think it is. Also, for the Georgia fans that might or might not just dunk on me, who cares? Indiana was projected to finish last in the Big Ten this year, have like 5 wins, and if we win this, we'd be competing in the quarterfinals of the college football playoff. I don't think there's a lot people can say that would diminish how good of a season that would be for us. Like you can't just be like, ha ha ha, you lost. Like, okay, we still made the playoffs. Like we still
If
did something
you
that Indiana has never done, which is be competent in college football. It's the first time Indiana's been this good since the 70s before my dad was alive. So, no one can take that away from us, and no one can take that away from us if we get blown out by Notre Dame. So,
I was about
anything
to
from here
ask
is
you that
gravy.
actually.
Anything from here is gravy. Like this is
If you
a
get blown out from Notre Dame, I would argue it's not. Well, because
it's a
if you guys get blown out by Notre Dame, that's just like everything. Because remember, everybody's argument for Indiana this year is why they didn't want y'all to be ranked as high as you were because you were going to get blown out by Ohio State and blown out in the first round of playoffs. And if that both of those things actually happen, that would suck.
they can cry more. Like
No, they'd be
my
right though.
I don't care if they're right. We would be 11-2 in the college football playoffs. That's not a bad year. That's the best
No,
year
I'm
this
not
team's
saying it's
ever
not.
had.
I'm not saying it's a bad
Would
year.
it suck to end on a sour note? Sure. But also, when we go back and we look at this in the future, this is going to be a stepping stone. This is going to be a turning point season for Indiana. So I don't really care. Are we going to lose to Notre Dame? Probably. But like the way that I look at it is I don't really care. We made the playoffs. No one can take that away from us. They can say, "Oh, well, you guys got blown out by the two good teams you played." Well, at least we made the playoffs. It's more than That's more than every single other team in the country except for the 12 in the playoffs can say. More than Alabama can say. It's more than Miami can say. It's more than Ole Miss, South Carolina, Colorado. All these teams that were fighting for the playoffs, they didn't make it. We did. Win your games, lol. I don't know. We went 11-1 in the regular season, won all the games we were supposed to win, lost to the number 2 team on the road, by the way, in a score line that's a lot worse than what it was. It was 31-15, remember, before Ryan Day was a massive asshole and ran the score up. So, you know, hey man, we won our games. If people want to take that away from them, they can cry me a river. Um, anyway, let's preview other games that aren't Indiana. Um, SMU Penn State. I am rooting for a Penn State splattering, but I think they win that game either way. Um, I just think the atmosphere of Happy Valley is going to be too much for SMU to handle. See, that's where you're supposed to chime in and say what your prediction for the game is.
Oh, I was looking at bowl games. Um, sorry.
Slacking on the
I'm looking at other things, okay? It's
slacking
related to this.
slacking on the
It's
toes.
related. It's related. Anyways, you're talking about SMU
Who do you
again.
think's gonna win SMU Penn State? Where you have to predict the games.
Probably Penn State.
Okay, thank you. Tennessee at Ohio State. Shit, I'll go
Ohio State.
Tennessee. I don't want them to win, but I think they will. I think they match up really well. I'm rooting for Ohio State to win, but I mean, when you look at Tennessee, they match up really well against Ohio State. Ohio State got bullied by Tennessee by Michigan's run game, and Tennessee has one of the best running backs in the country in Dylan Sampson. So, what gave Ohio State fits in the Michigan game? Michigan's defensive line. What does Tennessee have? One of the best defensive lines in the country. So I actually think they match up really good against Ohio State. So I mean, I think Tennessee's going to win, but I hope Ohio State wins. And then Clemson at Texas. I don't know, man. Both these teams are so weird. I'll flip a coin, I guess.
I'll tell you who
Texas.
I want to win. It's fucking Texas. I'm so done with hearing about Clemson.
Oh, you see, but Dabo Sweeney, without use of the transfer portal and NIL, made the playoffs. It's God's name, image, and likeness.
Dabo Sweeney is, I don't even know how to describe him. I don't know.
Made the
Immature,
playoffs.
child. Yeah, but at what cost? This is who we want to put in. Um,
I mean, they won
at
the
a field
ACC.
goal.
They got
At
an
a
auto
field
bid.
goal. Yeah. Um, I don't know. I do know if they do lose, well, hopefully when they lose, he's gonna be a crybaby about it because he's Dabo Sweeney. He was a crybaby about the Carolina game because he was, you can't rush our field, it's unsafe. We would never do that. Are you high? Do you know Clemson fans? Yes, you would. So I don't like him.
I
You
can
couldn't
tell.
tell.
Remember
Um,
last week when you didn't know what a tiger was?
that was my hate speech when I said suck my game cock.
That's my hate speech.
What even
Nice
is a
one.
tiger? I swear by it. What even is a tiger? It's
What
not a
even is.
longhorn. I know what a longhorn is.
Okay, a longhorn is. What even is. A longhorn's not a real animal.
Yes, it is. What?
Is it? Am I an idiot?
Yes, they have a live mascot.
Yeah, but it's not. That's not the official name of that animal.
Oh,
It's a
no.
cow, I think.
Hold on.
Hold on. Is a longhorn an animal? I'm searching it up. I got you. See, when I
Yes,
just
it
searched
is.
long.
Yes, it is. It is
What?
literally called a Texas Longhorn. It's a breed of cow.
No, this can't be.
This
Damn
I
it!
literally
Damn
when you were
it!
like, that's not a real
God
animal.
damn!
What? Why do they have one then?
Shit.
Not only is it a Longhorn, it is a Texas Longhorn.
Whatever. Let's predict the bowl games.
Y'all are the elephants. Why does that make sense?
It doesn't. The
Okay, just
Crimson
check.
Tide.
I
They're
know.
not even the
So why do
Elks.
you have an
I
elephant?
don't know, man. Indiana's mascot is the Hoosiers, so
Indiana's mascot is someone who lives in Indiana.
I mean it's like the same with North Carolina.
It's the Tar Heels.
Yeah,
But then they have the what is it? Is it a goat?
I don't know.
Okay, go
Bowl
Cox.
game prediction time. Saturday,
We're doing
December
all of
14th.
them?
I mean, do you want to do all of them, or do you want to only do the ones that are like group of five,
We'll
like Power
skip
Five?
around.
Okay. Celebration Bowl. Jackson State versus South Carolina State in Mercedes Benz noon on ABC. Who do you have?
Um, hold on. Excuse me. Jesus Christ.
Wow, what an unprepared co-host.
I'm sorry. My thing isn't loading. Nothing's loading. Anyway, hold on. Who do you have, Nate? You go
I
first.
have Jackson State.
Okay, good for you. I'm taking my fellow state buddies.
On Tuesday, December 17th, in the Scooters Coffee Frisco Bowl, Memphis versus West Virginia.
Memphis.
Memphis. Um, Wednesday, December 18th, the Art of Sport LA Bowl, Cal versus UNLV. Who do you have?
UNLV.
I got I got Cal because they're a funny football team. Um, the Union Home Mortgage Gasparilla Bowl, Tulane versus Florida. I'm gonna go Florida.
Probably Florida, but it'd be fun if Tulane did.
It would be fun if Tulane won. In the Rate Bowl, it's literally just is that not the Guaranteed Rate Bowl? Who
Just
knows?
rate
Rate Bowl. Can't Rutgers versus Kansas State. I didn't even know Rutgers made a bowl game this year.
Kansas State.
Kansas State. In the Direct TV Holiday Bowl, Syracuse versus Washington State.
Syracuse.
Sure. In the Birmingham Bowl, Georgia Tech versus Vanderbilt.
That's
Give
actually kind of
me
interesting.
Georgia Tech.
Vandy.
Okay. Um, in the Lockheed Martin Armed Forces Bowl, Oklahoma versus Navy. Give me Oklahoma.
How funny would it be if Navy won though?
Actually, no, give me Navy.
I wanna. I just like that'd be just so
Give me Navy.
silly. I'm
Who do
doing
you
Navy
have?
for my grandpa. He was in the Navy, and I'd be like,
Shout out.
This is for you."
Shout out Riley's grandpa. In the AutoZone Liberty Bowl, Texas Tech versus Arkansas.
Texas Tech.
Yeah. And the SRS Distribution Las Vegas Bowl, Texas A&M versus USC.
Texas A&M beat the fake USC.
I'll go US. I'll go A&M. Sure. In the Wasabi Fenway Bowl, North Carolina versus UConn, and no, it's not basketball. In okay, hold on. In the wait, this isn't a basketball game. Bowl game. It's North Carolina versus UConn. How many people do you think are going to tune into that game thinking it's basketball and are going to get a rude awakening when they turn the channel on to turn out
People are
this
gonna
is
be like,
football?
not only like thinking it's
That this is going to be a
basketball.
shitty football game on a baseball field in Boston.
Yeah, not even thinking that's not only like just thinking that it's basketball, but like that'd be a good basketball game.
Yeah, that's two blue bloods.
Um, North Carolina.
Yep, I agree. In the Bad Boy Mowers Pinstripe Bowl, Boston College versus Nebraska.
Unfortunately, probably Nebraska
Probably Nebraska.
with
In
their
the Pop
freaking
Tarts
Pat Mahomes copycat.
in the Pop Tarts Bowl, Iowa State versus Miami.
Give me Iowa State.
Give me Miami. Depending on if Cam Ward. Actually, no. Give me Iowa State. Um, in the Snoop Dogg Arizona Bowl, it's Miami, Ohio versus Colorado State.
um,
Best bowl game name.
Miami, Ohio. Okay.
Sure, I'll go Miami, Ohio.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
guess.
Um, in the Go Bowling Military Bowl, it's East Carolina versus NC State.
NC State.
NC State.
Some of these
Um,
might be kind of boring. I'm not gonna
in the
lie.
Valero Alamo Bowl, BYU versus Colorado. Not boring. That's a
Colorado.
fun game.
That is an interesting.
I'll go Colorado. Monday, December
Maybe they can
30th,
beat the Mormons.
in the Trans Perfect Music City Bowl, it's Iowa versus Missouri.
Missouri's probably got
Iowa.
that one. Interesting.
On Tuesday, December 31st, in the Relia Quest Bowl, it's Alabama versus Michigan in a rematch of the Rose Bowl. What the fuck? Why are we playing them again? As someone who's already had to see one of my teams play Michigan this year, I hate it. I hate the style of football Michigan plays. It is conducive for unfun football games. So I think Bama's going to win, but I don't think it's going to be a very fun football game to watch.
It's also I've been seeing some jokes on the internet about how y'all have a rematch with Michigan, but just like in a worse position this year.
Yep, both teams are.
Sorry
Who do
about
you
that.
think's going to win?
Probably y'all.
Thanks. It's the right
I would
answer.
hope. I would hope.
In the Tony the Tiger Sun Bowl, Louisville versus Washington.
Washington.
Louisville. In the Cheez-It Citrus Bowl, South Carolina versus Illinois.
Go Cox, baby. I think we got it.
Sure, I'll say USC, the real one. And in the
Thank
Kinder's
you.
Texas Bowl, Baylor versus LSU, which could actually be a pretty fun game. I'll go Baylor.
LSU, I think.
In the Tax Slayer Gator Bowl, it's Duke versus Ole Miss.
I'm going Duke for
Yeah,
fun.
I'm going
My
Duke for
cousin
fun
goes
too.
to Duke.
I'm going Duke for fun. And then finally in the Duke's Mayo Bowl, it's Minnesota versus Virginia Tech. Give me Minnesota. I don't know if this is what they do, but
I don't think so. Give me Tech. Probably
well,
not. But
and just like that, you won't
um
see us for about a
favorite
month and a
bowl
half.
name though.
Snoop Dogg Arizona Bowl.
That's fair. I don't know. I like Gasparilla. It's a fun word.
I like it when it was the Bad Boy Mowers Gasparilla Bowl. That made more. That just it flew off the tongue nice.
Instead of Union Home Mortgage.
Union Home Mortgage. Um,
I don't know. You have to have a good if you're it's a Gasparilla Bowl, you have to have a good sponsor. You can't just be like Gasparilla.
I think the sleeper game here, like the game that's going to be really fun to watch, is going to be either Baylor versus LSU or Duke versus Ole Miss. I think those could both be fun, high-scoring affairs. I think South
Oh,
Carolina,
well, not how you.
Illinois, and Bama, Michigan are probably going to be not very fun games because the teams that were both of our teams are playing. Because Illinois and
I,
Michigan play very like ground and pound, ugly football, and so that's not conducive for very fun watching in watching environments. So
well, I'm gonna be there,
I'm
so
not gonna be there for ours.
I'm
Actually, maybe
spending
I don't.
my New Year's
Well, it depends
Eve
on if.
in Orlando.
Well, it depends on if Alabama. It depends on if uh frickin' the frickin' Indiana wins. If Indiana doesn't win, I'm gonna try and convince my parents to go to Tampa and watch the Alabama Michigan game. We'll see.
I mean, that's not that far.
No.
It's closer than the
Um.
Rose Bowl.
Yeah. Well, you won't see us in for another month and a half
Are we not
until.
rating the week?
All right.
It's
Can we
okay.
rate this week? There was like 6 games.
It was like mid tier.
Yeah, I hated this week for
I know you
obvious
hated
reasons.
this week. I would just say like it's in the middle of the barrel.
I don't think we need to rate this because there was only like 8 games.
Fair.
Well, we'll see you guys after the national championship. Who knows who win? Probably
Oregon,
Oregon.
probably.
Yeah, that's gun to my head. If gun to my head, name who I think's gonna win. I'm gonna say Oregon.
We'll see who how badly some of these takes end.
Yeah, watch Georgia win the whole thing.
Oh my God, I would be
I think.
so upset.
What if? Okay.
Okay,
What if? What
this
if
is how I would
Clemson
feel. Are
won?
you ready? Oh, I would be physically ill. Okay,
More physically
here's
ill
my
than you were
take. Are you
last
ready?
podcast. All right,
Here's my analogy. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
That this might make this upsets like two different types of fans.
Uh huh.
If Georgia wins the national championship, for me, it would be like if Taylor Swift wins album of the year.
That's a great
Or
analogy.
I know, but it's like it's where it's like it's something that has happened when it maybe shouldn't have, and when you didn't want it to, and it's something that could maybe happen, but probably shouldn't, and you'd feel the same way about both.
Yeah, I that's I agree. Well, fun season.
Yeah,
It'll be an even more fun season when Oregon wins the national championship.
peaked in week 2, baby.
No
No, that's a
rivalry
lie. It
week.
peaked last
Rivalry week.
week. Peaked
Yeah,
last week when I was like on whatever. I don't know. I was sick
deathbed.
and spewing garbage out of my mouth.
Oh, I didn't need to know that.
No, I mean like the things that I was saying. I wasn't
Well,
throwing up. I wasn't that type of sick. Um,
peace out, I guess.
yeah.
I
Peace out for like a month.
yeah, we'll see. Hey, that gives us more time to make reels finally.
This is true.
We can post
I'll
like
be
10 reels in the off season.
I will actually. That'd be good. You got to keep the social media up. Um,
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, as always, I've been Nate Cohen.
Oh,
Oh my god.
Jesus. Fuck. Anyways,
As
I'm
always, I've been Nate Cohen,
I'm Riley Davis.
and that was the Red Zone Podcast.
What
Bye
an end.
bye. Bye bye.